Staying in the Middle East, and Iran has the know-how to build a bomb in a matter of months. That's according to a secret archive seized by Israeli intelligence agents. Israeli officials say the documents show that Iran could have a nuclear weapon in about 7 months if it pulled out of the 2015 nuclear deal and restarted its centrifuges. They say that the archive, that is from 1999 to 2003, shows that the Obama administration underestimated how close Iran was to making a nuclear weapon. President Trump pulled the United States out of the nuclear deal earlier this year before reimposing sanctions on Iran. Joining me now is Matthew Brodsky, a senior fellow at the Security Studies Group. Matthew, good to have you with us. Matthew, according to Israeli intel, good to have you, Matthew. According to Israeli intel, Iran's contested nuclear weapons program was, in fact, much further along than the international community had thought. The report is being viewed as a bombshell revelation, and it's seen by many, certainly Republicans, as validating criticism of the Obama administration, saying that the administration underestimated the extent of Iran's nuclear weapons progress. What do you make of that?
Well, underestimate is one way to put it. Another way to put it is that the previous administration simply lied about what they knew about and about the importance of actually preventing Iran from getting a nuclear weapon.
Do you think the Obama administration intentionally downplayed it? It's certainly the sentiment of several Iran hawks on Capitol Hill saying that they just wanted to get the deal through. Do you think it was intentional?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, they promised when they went into the deal that they were going to look at the previous military dimensions and find a way to verify what Iran's previous work on nuclear activity had created. That's the way you create a baseline so that you know where Iran was, so you can see how far away they are from reaching certain benchmarks. All these things that they promised, they ended up caving in on, including inspections on Parchin, the military site. That now we know from these reports that there was much more testing done at that site. And of course, the IAEA doesn't have access to that. All of these verification type of parts that were really key to making an agreement that would actually work, they were just decided to be tossed aside. And that's because, as you can see right now, when it comes to these people who are still defending the deal, even though we have all of this evidence that Israel has brought to light, this was about America's strategic realignment away from Israel, away from Saudi Arabia and our natural allies in the region, and toward Iran. That seems to be the main point, and that's why I think all of this was obscured. We weren't supposed to know about this right now. They were supposed to have a Democrat president right now. It just didn't work out for those who made the deal.
So given this development and this information coming to light, how does this impact the Trump administration's policy here?
Right. So this is the key point. So a lot of these hawks, as we're discussing, would like to see even stronger sanctions go on Iran to completely cut off the central bank of Iran, which, as we know, is involved in all sorts of nefarious terrorist funding throughout the world. So the Trump administration has left itself right now with more room for it to, increase the tension and increase the economic burden on the regime. So Republicans to the right, they're going to call for further sanctions because this is indeed, a revelation. The problem is, an argument could be made that it's good that the United States is not funding Iran's reckless behavior throughout the region and is out of the deal, but that Iran still sticks to its commitments as poor and as porous as those commitments are, that's better than them racing toward a nuclear weapon if this 7-month time frame that they're now discussing in this report happens to be the reality.
Assuming Iran's compliance could be verified and with the limitations on inspections, right, that's a big problem. And that's one of the reasons that President Trump pulled out of the deal. Now, Matthew, you and I know that Iran has been the common denominator between Israel and some Arab states like Saudi Arabia. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. But it seems like Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu is making headway with other majority Muslim countries. Chad's president Idris Deby was in Israel today. He told I-24 News exclusively that he sees diplomatic relations with Israel being formally renewed within a few weeks. What do you make of that development?
Look, I think all of these belong in a much they're according to, as you say, Iran. That is, of course, part of the glue. But the other part of the glue is the Trump administration is promoting these type of connections. You could look at it and say, look, the Trump administration hasn't wanted to be really hands-on on everything in the Middle East. So to the extent that Israel can get along with its neighbors and they can take care of problems, which, of course, he has identified as Iran, that's better. The other is really social media and the ease with which people can now get information. The old lies that the kingdoms used to tell their people and that the dictatorships used to tell their people, they just don't hold anymore. And this is really providing glue to bring them together.
Well, you also need to point out Netanyahu's strategy with providing these African nations with agriculture and water and power technology to foster these better ties. I mean, that certainly has been a big factor in getting these Muslim majority countries in Africa to be more accepting of Israel and to push for ties. Matthew, good to have you. Matthew Brodsky, appreciate your analysis.